Okay, we're back. I'm still dealing with a major hangover. Last night was pretty silly. I do admit I got really messed up. But we're gonna do a little bit of this. I got some stuff I actually need to take care of, so we'll do about 30 minutes worth of work. Then later tonight I'll double back and we'll do some more stuff. So we'll do this. We'll come back to horror. I'll work on Golden on the side, and then we'll switch off from time to time. Besides that, let's rock and roll. I didn't mention I was gonna go into a little bit more detail about the angle that I'm going with Rosa and Battler, so I'll do that right now. Okay. But let me just make sure what we talked about yesterday. We talked about... Oh, that's running. Sorry about that. That's definitely running. There we go. I don't exit out of them just so I can keep them up as soon as I load up my laptop. So last night when I got, well, my desktop. Last night when I got home, I was working on the horror one. So here we go. Battler. So yesterday we talked about, all right, we did the myth parallel with Siphius in the Phoenix, which is good. Then we talked about Beatrice as a mirror, which is not the enemy. So now we can go with the angle that I introduced with Rosa having that resentment towards Battler, which is definitely, it's there, but you gotta look at it. Okay, how do I want to word this? And again, I apologize. I still got a major hangover. I drank a little bit too much last night. This is section 8. Section 8, we'll call this Rosa's resentment. Yes, we'll double it as Rosa's resentment. Rosa's resentment as an emotional echo. I like that. All right. Again, I do appreciate the support this channel's been getting for the past couple of months. I have fun doing this. I have fun writing these essays. I'm glad people are enjoying them. So, hey, if you guys want more, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. This is a good break from military work. So, I love slaving away writing essays. It's fun. And it puts my lore knowledge to check. I have a lot of time on my hands. Okay, where do we want to go about this? So, Rosa's resentment. So, Rosa's resentment. Battler. Excuse me. Kinda is, okay. So we're totally gonna ignore that. Betrayal. Rosa's resentment towards Battler is a complex blend of loneliness, envy, and grief. Not merely anger, she embodies the tragic consequence of a family by betrayal and loss. So, JC's Ballard. Because if you think outside the box and really look at that, you can see there is some animosity and resentment towards Battler, definitely. Because Rosa had, well, can't really say she had the opportunity to leave. Like she was living a very she was living in a, God, I'm about to quote Kingdom Hearts. She was living on a prison surrounded by water. Like literally that. I can't believe I just did that. But yeah, like that's, like, y'all get what I'm getting with. Like she was trapped on that island. Like she had probably ample opportunity just to, you know, do what Battler did. Just said, fuck it, I'm out. But because remember, Battler was gone for a while. So everything that Battler did, leave, rebel, build meaningful bonds, he didn't do that. So there is resentment there between the two. Because at the end of the day, Rosa just had her dad, her brothers and sisters, well, her brothers and Ava, and that was it. You already know how strained her relationship was with Prouse, Rudolph, and especially Ava was. It was horrible for her. Like she was abused and mistreated big time. And lo and behold, the slippery slope happens, and it got brought down to Maria. And as we know, her husband abandoned her and did the debt. And it's like, if Rosa had the opportunity to build meaningful relationships with people, she would have been able to probably see that her husband Anako was using her and put her in that very shitty situation that she's in right now. But she didn't have that opportunity. Battler is a very well-liked person. He surrounds himself with people that actually like him, which Rosa doesn't have those meaningful bonds. She wasn't able to make interpersonal relationships with people. She's just trapped. She's trapped mentally and physically. All right, but y'all get what I'm getting with, I hope. It is an emotional contrast between Rosa. My mic's actually covering my keyboard, so I'm just going off of muscle memory. That's why sometimes I make some very weird grammatical errors. That's not on purpose. It's just I'm trying to go for muscle memory and not looking at my keyboard. This bitterness sharpens the emotional contrast between Rosa and Battler. She wears her pain openly as resentment and sorrow, amongst other things. So, continuing off of this, I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail because there's a lot that I could actually talk about here. So their dynamic reflects, didn't it? Their dynamic reflects two fractured sides. Two fractured sides. Oh, give me a second to think about this one. There's something out. There's an angle I want to go with. I just need to think for a minute. Their dynamic reflects two fractured sides. Two fractured sides of the same emotional wound. We can go with that. Okay. Two fractured sides of the same emotional wound. Okay. Two fractured sides of the same emotional wound. So, going off of that, what we can do is their dynamic reflects two fractured sides of the same emotional wound. So, this shows, well, showing how familial. Damn, that's actually very. Yeah, we can go with this. Alright, this showing how familial. Showing how familial and twist. Put yourself in Battler's shoes for a second. Alright, let me take off my damn headphones. Put yourself in Battler's shoes. Rosa Obasan, Aunt Rosa. She's always been the nice aunt, the nice level-headed aunt, while Ava was the strict, very no-nonsense aunt. Go figure. Ava's a bitch, but that's not the point I'm getting at. Put yourself in Battler's shoes. You have your aunt that she seems like she's a pretty loving aunt. She cares about the nieces and nephews in her own weird. Rosa wears masks. We already established that Rosa wears masks. So the image that he sees in Rosa is a mask that she wears from time to time. Now, and put yourself in the situation where the murders are happening, then Rosa does a complete 180 turn because that mask that she wears just lifts, and there's just very bitter animosity and resentment towards you. Like, put yourself in Battler's shoes. How would he like handle something like that? It's, wow, my aunt, who I thought actually cared about me, doesn't really like me because of she's, and I quote, jealous and holds like animosity and resentment towards me. Obviously, it's not mentioned. That's the angle I go with, but that I'm going with. But yeah, like it's interesting. It's a very, very interesting situation right there, which plays into the whole betrayal aspect of it. Because damn, my aunt just hates me in a sense. All right, we'll capitalize more on that later. This dynamic reflects two fractured sides of the same emotional wound, showing how familial love can twist into alienation, misunderstanding. To the point that Rosa will openly try to kill Battler at times. Battler, you're the wolf. Wait, what? Okay. So, I can add more to that. So Rosa's animosity. Rosa's animosity acts as an external manifestation of hers. Okay, I'm gonna go with another angle. Just bear with me. Battler's internal guilt. Internal guilt. alienation. So, going off of that, that reinforces his feelings of isolation within the family structure. Family structure. Okay. We can still go into more detail about this. Alright. Rosa's resentment towards Battler is a complex blend of loneliness, envy, and grief, not merely anger. She embodies the tragic consequence of a family by betrayal, and loss. She sees Battler as a symbol of the life she might have had, someone who could leave, rebel, and build meaningful bonds. Whoops. While she remains trapped by painful memories and isolation. This bitterness sharpens the emotional contrast between Rosa and Battler. Where he hides behind logic and denial, she wears her pain openly as resentment and sorrow. Amongst other things, but that's not the point of this. Their dynamic reflects two fractured sides of the same emotional wound. Oops. So, showing how familiar love can twist into alienation and misunderstanding. Okay. Rosa's animosity acts as an external manifestation of Battler's internal guilt and alienation, reinforcing his feelings of isolation from the family structure. Okay. Yeah, because again, Rosa, to the nieces and nephews, Rosa was always seen as kind-hearted Aunt Rosa. She got your back. She's nice compared to the other adults. Then, oh boy, no, she's not. Rosa's a lot of things. So we can definitely add more into this. So this layer, we can definitely add more into this. So this layer. Yeah, we could definitely add more to this. Just give me a second to think about this for a second. This layer deepens the theme. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So I can use that actually. So this layer deepens the theme that sometimes the deepest wounds can come from those closest to us. And I cannot spell right now, as usual. I gotta read this again. This layer deepens the theme that sometimes the deepest wounds can come from those closest to us. Okay, that works, but let's get rid of can. Make sure you always stretch. This layer deepens the theme that sometimes the deepest wounds come from those closest to us. I can add more to this. Making Battler's struggle not only psychological, Okay. I think Rose's emotional state. Underline. Tragedy. Ushiromiya. Ushiromiya. Burn it. This is more so towards her, but all the other siblings have their issues. Okay, so let's read this. So I think that's enough for at least Rosa tie-in, because again, like I mentioned before, there is a resentment there. There really is. Rosa's resentment towards Battler is a complex blend of loneliness, envy, and grief. More so, a lot of envy, but that's besides the point. Not merely anger, she embodies the tragic consequence of a family by betrayal and loss. She sees Battler as a symbol of the life she might have had, someone who could leave, rebel, and build meaningful bonds, while she remains trapped by someone who could leave, rebel, and build meaningful bonds. Okay. While she remains trapped by painful memories and isolation. This bitterness sharpens the emotional contrast between Rosa and Battler. Where he hides behind logic and denial, she wears her pain openly as resentment and sorrow. Their dynamic reflects two fractured sides of the same emotional wound, showing how familiar love can twist into alienation and misunderstanding. Okay, we're good there. Rosa's animosity acts as an external manifestation of Battler's internal guilt and alienation, reinforcing his feelings of isolation within the family structure. This layer deepens the theme that sometimes the deepest wounds can come from those closest to us, making Battler's struggle not only psychological but relational as well. So by highlighting Rosa's emotional state, we underline the tragedy of the Ushiromiya family and the burden of pain and regret that traps its members. It's more so towards her, but I'm not gonna ignore the fact that all the siblings have their issues. Like Ava's inferiority complex towards Kraus, Kraus's issues with taking over after Kenzo dies, and Rudolph's thing. Okay, so I think we're good there. I don't think we actually need to add any more to that. So, let's start at the beginning, see what we got. So, section 1 is the persona of the detective. Okay, that's fine. Section 2 is betrayal, trauma, and defense mechanism. Okay. Section 3 is fragments of memory and emotional conflict. That's fine. We're doing myth parallels, so we're doing 3 separate myth parallels. So Psyche and Eros, which is fine. Iana's descent into the underworld, which is fine. Then we did Sisyphus and Phoenix. Sisyphus. I always say Sisyphus for some reason. Sisyphus and the Phoenix. Then we talked about Beatrice as a mirror. The witch is not the enemy, which is fine. Just talked about Rosa's resentment as an echo. Give me a second to think. There's a couple of there's angles I want to talk about, but I just gotta. There's things I want to talk about. I just need to put 2 and 2 together. So just give me a moment to think about this. Okay, we're gonna do something here. Okay, we're gonna do something here. Bear with me. I'm gonna be writing things that make no sense, but they'll make sense later. This is section 9, I think. Yeah, section 9. Section. Just bear with me here. I'm gonna do something silly right now. Again, we're doing this from a different perspective. The turning point in Battler's journey comes when his brain's defense mechanisms can no longer contain the pressure of the repressed guilt and love, resulting in a psychological emotional breakdown where denial collapses and vulnerability floods in. Alright, we're gonna roll with this. We're gonna roll with this. We're definitely gonna roll with this. Okay. This moment. Marked by. This moment is marked by. This moment is marked not. External victory. External victory. But this moment is marked not by external victory, but When the need to protect himself gives way. Facing the truth. I gotta read this. Definitely gotta read this. The moment is not. The moment. This moment is not. This moment is marked not by external victory, but internal surrender. When the need to protect himself gives way to the painful act of the truth he long avoided. Okay. That works. But if we go with that... I'm teetering dangerously close into theory areas. Yeah, no, I'm getting toward that. I'm getting towards the that bad zone. The event horizon. Yeah, I'm getting dangerously close to that area. Okay. We'll have to. We won't go that crazy into this then, because if I go any further, it will definitely start becoming theory areas, and I don't like delving into that area. Breakdown. The detective mask. We should just wrap it up right there. Disrupts the cycle. Decision. Okay. If I can actually spell right now. Oh, I love it. Okay. All right. So let's read what I written today. So Rosa's resentment as an emotional echo. Rosa's resentment towards Battler is a complex blend of loneliness, envy, and grief. Not merely anger, she embodies the tragic consequence of a family by betrayal and loss. She sees Battler as a symbol of the life that she might have had, someone who could leave, rebel, and build meaningful bonds. Well, let's actually make that relationships. Meaningful relationships. While she remains trapped by painful memories and isolation, this bitterness sharpens the emotional contrast between Rosa and Battler, where he hides behind logic and denial. She wears her pain openly as resentment and sorrow. Their dynamic reflects two fractured sides of the same emotional wound, showing how familial love can twist into alienation and misunderstanding. Rosa's animosity acts as external manifestation of Battler's internal guilt and alienation, reinforcing his feelings of isolation within the family structure. This layer deepens the theme that sometimes the deepest wound comes from those close to us. Always proofread your things, people. Making Battler's struggle not only psychological but relational as well. So, by highlighting Rosa's emotional state, we underline the tragedy that the Ushiromiya family and the burden of pain and regret that traps its members, which is true. Section 9, which I'm going to be very careful with. The turning point in Battler's journey comes from when his brain's defense mechanisms can no longer contain the pressure of the repressed guilt and love, resulting in psychological and emotional breakdown, which denial collapses and vulnerability floods in. This moment is marked not by external victory, but internal surrender, when the need to protect himself gives way to the painful act of the truth he's long avoided. This breakdown dismantles the detective mask and disrupts the cycle of repetition. Okay, so definitely I gotta be careful with that one, because if I go with that angle, there's gonna be a big chance I'm gonna go towards the event horizon, and we don't want to go to the event horizon because weird theories start happening. We don't do that here. All right, good stuff. I'm gonna go take a break. I'm gonna go have some lunch. So later on tonight, I'm gonna come back. I'll do some horror. I'm gonna work on Golden Sun in the side again because that's almost done with the audio aspect of it. And if I have enough time, I'll come back and I'll do some more of this. So good stuff. I'll see people later. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see y'all in a bit. Bye bye.